Not quite 8 o'clock in the evening on the 26th, I believe, of September 2021. And some fresh concrete here, fresh new sidewalk in a couple of neighbors' homes. And taking an evening walk. Nice little park. This is a home that was refurbished, or a lot of money put into it. Home right here in town, the former Humbert house from the 70s. Debbie and Denny Humbert lived there at that time. Fresh concrete here, about 10 days, maybe not quite 2 weeks old. Beautiful home. Anyhow, just enjoying a walk. Beautiful. It's got to be in the at least low, if not mid 70s. And just gorgeous. Kevin Lee, my high school companion, lived in this home in the 70s. And my 5th grade teacher, 5th grade, Mrs. Betty Andrews, lived in this home when I was a kid, and for many decades afterwards. But anyhow, just taking a little walk. Local marathon station up here on the corner. Used to be this Ohio station back in the 70s. And just can't hardly get over this weather. Beautiful. And this whole week is supposed to be just about picture perfect. Nice breeze in the air. And heading up Washington Street to the old Bettsville High School. So stay tuned. When I get a little closer, I will fire it back up. Well, that's the new edition, the high school. Actually, this is now, I even hate putting these words in my mouth, the Old Fort Grade School campus. But anyway, gonna run up this alley here quick. The old bus garage that was there for years. And like I say, just a beautiful evening. I'm gonna check a camera setting here. Let's see. Nope, not the one I want. So, I'm gonna take a little stroll up the alley here. Stay tuned. This is the backside of that Humbert house from the 70s. This garage wasn't here. And again, the bus garage. The former Bobby and Linda Chapman property from the 70s and maybe into the 80s. And as you can see there, the stars are starting to come out. Man, this weather is just incredible. This nice light breeze. Windows will be open tonight in the bedroom. Ding dong! Now I'm over here on, let me think a minute. Sullivan Street. Yeah, walking up, shut up. Sullivan Street. There's the east side of the school. Pardon me while I knock some teeth out of these dogs. Well, again, there's the east side of the school. Those dogs back there are still barking, but they're barking with a few less teeth. I guess one of the benefits of walking with a metal cane, you use that sucker like a golf club, maybe like a 9-iron. Oh, it works great. Anyway, I'm going to show you something here in a minute. Across from the old Poe homestead that I'll bet a lot of you don't recall, probably never even knew, let alone recall. Straight ahead in this picture is the Poe homestead. As in Angie Poe. Stay tuned here while I make the corner onto David Street. Now rounding off of Sullivan Street to David Street. And straight here on the corner, at the very corner of Sullivan and David, the Jimmy and Donna Rose Lang home, formerly. New family in there now. Mike, Susan, And Jim Jr., Jimmy Jr., grew up here. Right across the little creek, or more aptly called the ditch, where I played with my brothers and the Kimmets and the Stefanis and the Bramels and Jimmy Lang and Steve Garn and who knows else in the summer and the winter and all along. Can't really see the ditch. Can't really see the Poe homestead, a little dark. But where the asphalt now is for part of the playground for this new addition to the school, back in the 70s and 60s and probably 50s. I was born in 56, so I couldn't tell you. But under this was all grass field. This time of year, we would take my dad's lawnmower over there and mow out a football field and play football. But I want to tell you something else that occurred at this. Again, that's the Poe house. Something else that occurred at this grassy knoll many times, and I always enjoyed it. Let me give you a shot of the Poe house where the Poe family grew up, right here. Looks like there's a halo over the main part of the house, and even though there's new family in there, that's because the Poes once lived there. Anyway, this field over here didn't have lights, didn't have all of this. It was just a grassy addition to Bettsville High School. But we had a teacher in my high school years, Jeannie Rosendahl, one of, if not my favorite teacher, and her husband, Jim, would come down here in the evenings this time of year and during the school season and such. And I think they were probably tennis balls. And Jeannie says that there was just one dog. But in my mind, there were two German Shepherds. Now, where I came up with that, I don't know, Jeannie. But let's say it's one German Shepherd. Jim would rear back and throw that ball halfway across that grassy knoll, and that dog, or dogs, if I'm right, would take off like a rocket and retrieve that ball. And Jim would pull up here before it was blacktopped, and no, it was blacktop, that's right, but it just didn't have painted lines. Park his, what I called a copper-colored Corvette. Beautiful machine, lean and sleek, beautiful machine. The Corvette would park here, and Jim would rear back with those tennis balls, and I can still see those dogs rifling across there to get them. So that's something I remember. I remember a lot about Bettsville. And you know, I'll admit, one of the reasons, don't know how much on the priority list it is, but one of the reasons Poe still lives in Bettsville is because, to the best of my knowledge, Stanley Poe is the last remaining Betts descendant to still reside in Bettsville. From Paul and Eulalia Biehler and my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Eulalia Betts Biehler, a direct descendant from John Betts, lived in Bettsville, Ohio for decades prior to my birth. And on down the line, Angie Poe, Angie Betts Biehler-Poe, if you will, lived here back in that house that I just showed us, off to the right there. And I just kind of hate leaving Bettsville with no remaining Bettses, because I'm working on a few things, working on a couple of projects. Not sure which ones will get done before the others, but one of them is a book, and I'll give you the title. It's been in draft mode, and I would say it's maybe halfway done. Started years ago, many years ago. Started the book with my title from pretty much day one, Good Sex and Grocery Money. That's the title of Poe's book. Kind of a book on, for the most part, how a man and woman look at the same life situation from two different angles in many cases. Good sex and grocery money. What do you think? Would just the title alone make you pick up the book at a Barnes & Noble and read the dust cover? We'll see. Here's the beloved former Bettsville High School, now part of the old fort system. But I made that long trek across the street, up the sidewalk about 50 yards, turn the corner there, go in the front doors to the school. In other words, we could walk our to our door in the morning, Steve, Doug, and I, and be in class. So after school projects were nothing, we could run home for a snack or dinner. Anyway, that's the tour of Bettsville with the beautiful weather, the breeze, and commentary by Poe. Oh, by the way, back in the days when Jim Rosendahl was throwing that ball across the grassy knoll, in between those houses, see if I can zoom in on it, pretty much directly behind that black car you see right there is a home, and off to the right of that home is a garage, and there was an apartment above that garage. That's where Jim Rosendahl lived when he taught at Old Fort, or part of the time. When he and Jeannie married, I remember they rented or bought a home out in the country, or a couple of places before they left for other teaching jobs. But anyhow, the old memory, I thank God, praise God for my memory. It's still really good. And I thank God for the memories of all the high school days. So if you watched all of this, I'm impressed. But I gotta go. Poe out. Maybe I got a chapter in me for tonight on good sex and grocery money. We'll see.